Don Lazzari, my new adopted semi-Cajun friend, all the way from New Orleans via Pittsburgh. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
I'm great today. It's a pleasure to be here, Wes.
I got your book here, Entrepreneur Sales Secrets Revealed. Look, we can't tell them everything, okay? Because, I mean, we all know, right? The dirty little secret is just wet their whistle and make them buy, right? And
Exactly.
that's a bait and switch. Is that where we are today? We're not bait and switchers, right?
No, that's not a bait and switch at all. That's a puppy dog close.
Man, and you know what? I still to this day, if I'm being honest, can I be honest with you? Can I let my hair down? Huh?
Sure.
I still struggle with that. I was a slow learner. I'm still a slow learner. I love training. I love teaching. I love helping people, right? And I would give. I still need help. I have people like, nope, rip that out. You know, so I want to give, but it hurts me, but it hurts them too. Like if you tell them too much, if you give them too much, they think they know enough to go do it on their own, and then they won't, and
Plus,
everybody suffers.
I think it's overwhelming. One of the things I set out to do with writing the book was keeping it very practical, keeping it actionable. If you scan the QR code at the back, it takes you to a website where all of the templates and exercises and whatnot I talk about predominantly in the first part of the book are stored. And then beyond that, it's examples. So yeah, I tried to shrink it down. You know, on the back cover, it says it's a curated collection of sales knowledge. So I was just trying to, you know, just enough so that they understood that it's valuable.
Yeah. What do you say to people? Because I'm looking at you. You got some gray hair. I got a gray beard. I'm a grandfather of 3 now. I'm becoming that old guy, that old dinosaur. Oh, back in the day. What do you say to people? Do we still have something to offer the world?
I think doubtlessly. And I think that, and I can take it from my current engagements, younger folks are still hungry for the insight that those of us who have walked the trail have.
At least
Right?
the smart ones, huh?
Well, at least the smart ones do, but I mean, honestly, most do. A few resist, but not that many. And
Yeah.
some are very enthusiastic about it. And, you know, if you really think back on it, when I was a 30-year-old salesperson, I certainly knew less about what was going on than I knew about what was going on, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, no, I think we're still relevant, especially if you keep your energy up and you don't tell a lot of stories about, well, you know, back in the 90s, because, you know, things have changed drastically, as you're well aware, right? People don't go to conferences anymore. People don't really make belly-to-belly sales calls that much in many markets. So it's changed. It's changed fundamentally.
Yeah. I think the conferences are coming back. I mean, I know personally I haven't been to as many, but there are a couple of tech conferences that I follow. I'm going to one in November, the big HubSpot conference. As we record this, it's happening this week. But I don't like traveling too much and going all the way to Boston. 3 time zones. I think I've always been an old soul. 3 time zones have always wiped me out, man. I can go back to New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Houston. I'm Dallas. My sister's up there. 2 hours. I'm fine. 3 hours. I don't know, man. I turned into a pumpkin. But I think
did
conferences are coming back.
travel once. I'm okay. I don't miss it,
Yeah.
but I'm okay.
But yeah, I think conferences are coming back. I think obviously COVID crushed everything, but I think we're social beings, right? And I think people like getting together, you know, and pressing the flesh and having a drink together. Are you not seeing that?
I'm just seeing less attendance in talking with my customers, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this used to draw 12,000 people, now it's drawing 5,000. But they're always the big shows. Like in imaging, there's RSNA in Chicago. That brings everyone.
Okay.
Right? You have HIMSS for hospital.
Yep.
That brings everyone, and people spend $1 gazillion on their booths.
Yeah.
Right? But the other conferences that were kind of, I don't want to say the B rank, but not the major ones, the attendance, you know, based on the markets that I'm in, have fallen away.
Yeah.
Pretty drastically.
So what are you telling your folks today to win in sales?
Well, There's a part in my book where it's part 3 where I talk about sales vital signs. And that really looks at the entire sales pipeline as a continuum. And with most companies, when I go in, they don't have enough pressure at the top, and the pipelines are skinny and ill-defined. So just taking a couple of examples from engagements that I just started with an imaging company and a manufacturing company back in April, we really had to focus on what the top of the pipeline looked like, what I refer to as the funnel. You've got to be churning and creating interest. And another thing that they need to do, which neither of these companies are doing currently, but they are moving in that direction, is you've got to have a discussion with the market through market. Someone's got to be your evangelist, and they've got to be out there making sure they're providing air cover for the sales folks who are prospect. But when you measure those sales vital signs on a weekly basis, and when I work with clients, I do weekly one-on-ones, and I'd recommend any sales leader who's out there to do a weekly one-on-one, just because you stay in a rhythm, you keep things to the forefront and whatnot. We look at that. We look at what's new to funnel, and then what's new to the pipeline. So how are you converting interest into action? That seems to be the area where the focus needs to be to really get things rolling. And I also see with a number of my clients over the years where the way they measure a sales process is activity based and not progress based in the evaluation and culmination in a deal. And so when
Can
we
you
got
can you
there
say that again? Are you saying that they are tracking action and not progress?
they're not tracking progress in a sales process. They're tracking activities like quoted, right? Qualified, quoted, proposal sent. That doesn't tell me anything about what's going on in that deal, right? Do they have budget? Do you have access to the right people? Is there a need? What's their timing? Are you getting support? Are you moving through that continuum of, and you know how this goes. People look for a solution. They evaluate several vendors. They talk to them. They discover who might be a better fit. You get someone internally that supports you. And then you want to leverage that support into consensus across the group. And I'm talking B2B here, of course. And then from there, you want to move that towards a close. And there are some logical steps along the way. And that's really what we focus on, because then you can measure those vital signs. And every week I do forecast calls with the CEOs of these companies. And that's the best way to be like, here's where we are. This deal was not going to close this month because we're only in consensus. And we try to stamp out the optimism.
Yeah, that's good. What are you saying that what's working on the marketing side of things, to pack that top of that funnel?
Voice of the customer, right? What does a B2B customer really want to hear? They want to hear about how their peers are solving similar business problems, right? They really don't want to hear me come in and go blah, blah, blah about my project, my product features. Or they don't want to hear marketing talking about, we've got this advanced AI-driven blah, blah, blah. No. Tell me how you solved one of the companies that are like me. Tell them how you solved their customer service problem. Or tell them how you drove value with what their sales team was doing. Or, whatever the business problem may be.
Yeah. Any particular medium you're seeing that's working, or test them all, or depends on the industry?
I'm going to date myself since I do have gray hair. I have a full belief in the 1,000 points of light approach to market, right? And you remember 1,000 points of light.
Thousand points of light.
1,000 points of light, exactly. And to me, that's what you got to do. I'm a small business. You got to have stuff on Substack. You got to have stuff on LinkedIn. You got to be generating new content so that your searches are going up. You've got to be evangelizing, and I mean that in the strictest sense of the word, your customer successes. That's what people want to hear about. That's what drives growth. And you need to couple that with a really good message. from the marketing side.
Well, isn't evangelizing their success, isn't that a good message?
Well, but it's the way you package it up, right? One of the things I encourage all my clients to develop is what are your big three when it comes to your sales messages, right? What is it that you want to say? Like I'm working with a manufacturer right now that manufactures chemical sensing devices for sterilization environments because the gases they use are harmful and you've got to pay attention to them. So we went through an exercise and a workshop that shrinks that down into just three main benefits, and then you bolt all of your customer success stories into that. And their three are safer workplaces, less risk, next level protection. And so when you tell the story, you're repeating those three things over and over and over again. Kind of your refrain, let's say, right?
Kind of like great taste, less filling.
Kind of like great taste, less filling. And I mean, I can give you a number of examples on that where it just sticks if you've got a good one and it is zeroed in on that buyer's business problem and you just repeat it endlessly and support it with customer successes.
So it's the big three benefits, right? Versus features. I mean, if we're keeping it simple.
Correct.
Yeah, but Don, we help everybody do everything. I mean, we can't just boil it down to three. We're full cycle. We're full service. We're customer centric. We understand the voice of our customer. Three is just far too constrictive. I mean, I don't know if we could boil it down to 33. I mean, maybe 333.
Now you got to take the mash and make whiskey. Right?
All right.
It's doable. Trust me. It's doable.
I'm writing that down over here, so I'm still listening. But that is hard, huh? Because people, we do so much for so many.
Yeah. And you go, well, where's, you know what? Pin it to value. Another example from a past life was a tech company that sold into nursing homes and assisted living. And it was a game changer, and it helped them get better documentation. And if they documented their care better, they got credit for more, they got paid more. If you pay more, rising tide floats all boats. You know, the facility's better, you can hire better people, your employees benefit, and ultimately the owners would benefit. And the three there were better documentation, better reimbursement, better care. And everything that we talked about as far as features and benefits, you know, how do you deliver better documentation? Well, let me show you, right? But it always came back to that point. And that's very doable, even if you have a highly functional, highly complex product.
Yeah. You know, we were talking about Sandler before we hit record, and one of my early coaches, like I had never heard of Sandler. And after I started working with him, you know, I learned he was a former Sandler guy, left, and big lawsuit. He was able to do his own thing. And so I think I got a lot of Sandler before I knew it was Sandler.
Yeah.
But Steve was big on, he would talk about frustrated, upset, concerned, angry. So we had 4 points. So, you know, so I help my clients when I'm like, boil it down, you know, so like me and you, like sales training, marketing, you know, I help. You know, I work with sales managers who are frustrated with salespeople not making enough calls. They're upset that, you know, all they get is excuses and, you know, delays from their salespeople. They're concerned, you know, do they have the right people on board? And some of them are just downright angry, you know, that despite all the efforts and care and love and attention, that, you know, they still think they have a whiny little team that won't hit their goals. So is 4 okay, or should I keep it to 3?
Well, I mean, I think it's keeping it to a small amount. And the reason I settled on 3 was, I mean, in all honesty, inspiration came from Schoolhouse Rock. Remember 303? It's the magic number, right? But I actually do a workshop on sales messaging that I normally do to start an engagement. And we go into the whole dynamic of memory and what people remember after presentations. And when you look at the research, 1 hour after a presentation, they only remember 50% of what you told. And then a day later, 25%, and by the next week, only headlines. So you gotta sell the headlines because that's
Yeah.
all they're gonna remember, right?
Yeah. I
So
mean, good
story,
old Zig Ziglar. Yeah, he would talk about that.
right?
Yeah, that's true. Boil it down, and I'm always telling people just you got to ask better questions and listen. They want to yap, yap, yap. No, no, no.
That's right. That's right.
Um,
You should. I actually was a guest speaker yesterday at the University of Southern Mississippi in their New Ventures class. That's just 20 minutes from me here. And as part of that, we were talking about that dynamic, and it's kind of interesting how that's lost on a lot of folks.
yeah, still to this day. And I think it's getting worse with this younger generation, with social media, with COVID. People they can't have conversations. They can't look you in the eye. They can't stay engaged.
Right.
Um, are you seeing that? Are companies struggling with getting production out of younger folks?
In some companies, in some,
Um,
but not all of them.
okay.
It's varying.
Are you
I think anytime when you're in the sales leadership business, you've got the people that get it and the people that don't. It's almost like having a sports team. You're going to have your stars, you're going to have your players with a good glove. And normally, the folks at the top are superb at asking insightful questions.
Mhm.
And what does that do? That drives credibility. That was one of my big lessons yesterday. If you're an entrepreneur, you're in sales. And if you want to be successful, you got to be credible. And the way that you do that is ask really good questions. Like I'm a
Yeah,
big fan of spin selling.
sure.
It's fundamental. It's a good place to start. And most of the time, you're going to distinguish yourself because there are too many salespeople that do the show up and throw.
Why is this so foreign to people? Because it's like I work with people and like they're new to sales, maybe they're transitioning from a production or engineering role. They want to get into sales and they're so antsy. I'm like, dude, just be curious. Like, just look at the person and listen. That's the question. I'm always curious. My kids, oh, there goes dad. Like he's got to go look it up. Like, they ask something. If I can't answer it, I look it up immediately. And they're like, oh my gosh. Like, why are you not curious? Like, why are people not curious? What is so hard and stressful about just being curious? Well, why is that? How long has that been an issue? Who else does that affect? Round numbers, how would you say that's impacting earnings? But why why do people stress out about being curious?
I don't know. I think sometimes people are just uncomfortable with asking the questions. And if you do it right and you don't do it, you should do it as a conversation and not an inquisition, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you do it right, you can learn a whole lot. I can remember way back when, before I was doing consulting and I was working for Rockwell Automation, going into manufacturing plants, and they'd say, "Oh, guys from Rockwell, what do you have to sell us today?" And I'd be like, "I don't know if I can sell you anything, so let's have a chat."
Yeah.
Right? Better yet, take me out on your floor. Take me on a tour. Let me see what's going on. Let me ask you 500 questions, and then maybe I can help you. Because I'm here to sell you something. I'm here to help you solve your problems that are out on the floor. That's the approach you got to take, regardless of the market that you're in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy though. It doesn't come natural to a lot of people, but I guess if it did, we'd be out of work, huh?
Well, as you know, this job is not easy. And you mentioned earlier about folks that are transitioning from engineering or whatever into this role. It's a tough transition. We're different animals at the water hole.
Well,
And
people
we
have always
it's
asked.
as thick as whatever you want to say, water buffalo, because all we get is rejection.
Yeah. It's, yeah, I mentioned Infusionsoft, again, before we hit the recording and I sold a bunch of it back in the day. And, most of the early partners were engineering types, techie types. They wanted to work on the app behind the scenes, like supercharging it, with the API and coding and I don't know that stuff. But they would always say, "How do you sell so much?" And it's like a backhanded insult because basically what they're saying was You are not as smart as me. You are not a techie like me. You don't know how to lift the hood and get your hands dirty. So why do you sell so much? And so, I would ask them, well, how do you code so much? Maybe a little practice, maybe, I don't know, a decade or so of focused effort. Like you don't know what you're asking. It's like in jujitsu, man. People always say, I get done rolling, guys are like, man, you're just so big and strong. And I'm like, screw you too. Like, are you saying I used zero technique to, to beat you? You only lost because I'm big and strong? Like, kiss my ass. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use one hand this time and I'm still gonna kick your ass.
Love it.
Oh man.
That's beautiful.
Like, selling's hard, dude. It's like constant training.
It is difficult, and you got to be, you've got to be willing to do the hard work every day. Right? I remember one of my very first sales coaches, my first sales training when I went into sales when I was working for a company called Matthews International in Pittsburgh was the Dale Carnegie sales training. And the guy that taught that was a very successful sales professional. And his big, whatever you want to call it, principle was being successful in sales is doing the right thing every single day.
Yeah.
And it's true. Right.
Yep.
And it gets back to something you asked me earlier. Hey, now that we've got gray hair and everything, do we still have something to offer? Yeah, we do. Because it's a craft.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm starting to see it, in jiu-jitsu and sales and business. The old adage, the plant is going down, and they don't know what to do, and it's going to they're going to ruin $10 billion refinery. Oh no! And they call Don. Don comes out, listens, looks, puts his ear to the pipe, goes back to his truck, gets a hammer, whack. It's all fixed, and you send him the bill, right? $100,000, $100,001. Like, you were here 5 minutes just for swinging the hammer. You get $101,000. He says, no, I charge $1 to swing the hammer. I charge $100,000 for knowing where to hit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm starting to understand that. It's like, I let them just kind of squirm. Like, you want the answer? I can tell you, or you can keep squirming.
Yeah.
But that's a sale too. I mean, I got to sell that. How do I know? How can I trust that you know where to hit, where to swing?
Oh, in the world of consulting, especially in the earlier days, I would get that question. Well, how many hours did you work? You're not paying me for my hours, right? You're paying me for what I know.
Yeah.
And because I don't work full time for you, you're not paying me full time.
Yeah.
And therefore, I think you're getting a fair amount of value for the money being spent. So that's rarely been an issue, fortunately. And I think in the early days it is. I think once you have a track record, it's a lot easier.
Well, I ask them, say if you had a toothache, would you pay more if the dentist can alleviate the pain in 5 minutes versus 5 hours versus 5 days? I can take 5 days to fix this.
That's a good way of putting it. Right?
Or I can fix it in 5 minutes. But I mean, I don't want you, worrying about the price. If you want value, and I've struggled with that sometimes, especially in writing, especially in editing. If somebody sends me something just to clean up, I can do it in 10 minutes. I mean, it's not hard for me, but I've done it for a long time. And I'll sit on things for a little bit so they don't feel like I don't want them questioning the price, right? But I'm like, it's going to be good and it's going to be fast, but it won't be cheap.
That's called expertise, right?
Yeah. But because like I want to fix it, but I'm like, okay, I'll send it back tomorrow. I'll let it put in the crock pot overnight so they feel like they got their money's worth. But reality is, speed to market is an advantage.
No question.
So what led you to write the book? Entrepreneurs' Sales Secrets
First
Revealed.
of all, I went to the University of Pittsburgh
Is that up
Entered
in Canada? That's way. Is that over like in England or Europe?
It's
That's
well, you know,
America?
anything north of the Tennessee line is the hinterlands. When
North
you,
of Shreveport. I'm like, where? Who? What? Isn't that Canada? What is that? Alaska? I don't even. That's where
I know
Santa
guys
Claus
that
is.
I know guys recently that have told me anything north of I-10.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You get in the deep South, and
yeah.
they do exist.
Oh, yeah. Oh, believe me. But went to the University of Pittsburgh, entered in pre-med, and then much to my mother's chagrin, I said, I'm changing my major to writing.
To writing.
To writing. I have a
Wow.
bachelor's in writing.
Wow.
So I've written my entire life. It's something I've wanted to do when it comes to writing the book. And I really feel when you do works like this, because I've written literally so much, just like you. I mean, people can send me things and I can edit it very rapidly just because I've done it so many times, right? Um, and so finally I thought, I've probably got the content from the years of consulting to put together something that's actually meaningful. And so I began to sketch it out and started writing it. And like most writers, I got to a point and I thought, well, hold on a second. I need about 30,000 words and I've only got about 18.
Mhm.
So, what am I missing? But what made me do it was I get tremendous satisfaction from helping the people that I coach and from helping the companies that I'm with that I've helped grow. And I mean, let me give you a couple very specific examples. I was doing consulting work for an e-learning company out of South Florida called Ready Learning. They were a smaller player. They were in the senior care market. They were competing against a company called Relias, much bigger. Got involved with them, put in the sales vital signs stuff, did the one-on-ones with the team, younger team, hungry to be better. And 18 months later, they were acquired by Reliance. And when I asked the CEO why it was that Reliance made the offer, he said that we were beating them 3 out of 4 times in enterprise deals.
Mm.
So they just decided to buy us instead of buy them, instead
Yeah.
of becoming part, right? I have relationships from that engagement, which was 2014, 2015, that are still in place today, with people that I coached. And I really felt that my business had gotten to the point where this was kind of the next step, that I was ready. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. So, would you recommend others write a book? Do you wish you'd written this earlier in your career?
No, I don't. I think it came at the proper time when I had the depth and breadth of experience that would make it meaningful, and also to give me the insight of the way the CEOs think about this stuff. So no, I don't wish I would have written it earlier.
Do you recommend others? I mean, because a lot of folks
I
will
mean,
say
sure, if
use
you
it as your business card, your calling card, your lead magnet, that top of funnel. You
if
know,
you have if you have the time and the desire to do it, and um, you perseverance to do it, yes. But it's 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 difficult. And when you see these people that are cranking out books every 3, 4 months, I mean,
I
that
know.
to me, that's pretty impressive. Now, if that's all they're doing, okay, fair enough. I was writing it while I was also, generating income through consulting. So I wasn't writing it during my work hours, so to speak. But it's a big effort. And then once the content's done, it's an even bigger effort, believe it or not, to get the darn thing formatted and published and whatnot. That was a heavy lift.
Well, the more I do and more people I meet, it's like, I hate to say it, but I think I just get more, I don't even know what the word, I don't want to say depressed, but it's like I'm seeing how the sausage is made more and more. You would think like I would just understand it can be dirty, ugly, but like guys I look up to, like talking about guys, write these books all the time. And then I meet people like, oh yeah, that was ghostwritten. Oh, that guy, yeah, he stole all of my content and did not give me credit. Like that guy, like, and then you hear it multiple times. You're like, right, when you're not even asking, it's just is offered. Like, oh my gosh, like, is everything a lie? Is everything we see online and like what's true today?
Well, there's a lot of smoke in the woods, that's for sure.
Oh gosh. But is there still a spot for honest people?
I think so. And I
All right.
think I still think people admire candor, but unfortunately, like I said, there's just a little too much smoke in the woods, and it becomes difficult
Yeah.
if people don't think critically to be able to separate what's real from what's not real. I
Yeah.
mean, I was talking to someone I know recently who showed me something from Google, which was clearly inaccurate, and I said, no, that's not accurate. And his response was, well, it was out on Google. Are you trying to tell me what's out on Google isn't true?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Because you got to understand how Google works, right? And I told him how Google works, and it just seemed to
Mm,
make him wobble in orbit, right? So
yeah.
yeah, but I still think people with honesty in the end cut through it. Um, and in the business that I'm in, I'd rather be honest with the CEO and tell them things they don't want to hear than try to paint a picture that's not real. Because I think
Yeah.
in the end, you get respect regardless of which way it ends up. Like sometimes I've told CEOs things that they don't want to hear, and then my engagement ends pretty long,
Yeah.
long thereafter, and not in
Yeah.
a pleasant way, but just that, like, well,
There's no
so
need for you.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And I tell them all the time, my goal is to work myself out of a job.
that's what I do in my engagements, right?
It's like, hey, I'd love to stick around for 10 years and y'all give me a watch and I'm part of the family. I'm like, but that ain't happening. You know, when I will not overstay my welcome,
Well,
you know?
I tell my clients when it starts to be like, look, I can't give you any more time. It's now time to interview for my replacement.
Yeah.
But if I've done that, I've done my job. I've
Yeah.
made the company grow.
Yeah.
Put together a sales team that's actually sales professionals and not just subject matter experts, which is a fundamental error that I see a little too often, which is, well, in order to be successful in this space, you've got to know whatever the product is you're selling. No,
Yeah.
you don't.
Yeah.
You just got to know, you got to know some basics. You got to know how to conduct a sales process is what you got to do. You've got experts that are doing service or whatever. We'll just bring them in whenever we need. It's not my job to be the expert.
Yeah.
My job is to get you money,
Nice.
right? I mean, that's it. At the end of the day, you know, cash is king and no margin, no mission.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen. Right.
Well, I think that's a good one to end on. So I'm linking out to your site, so deliveringvalue.com. So your book, they can get the book there. It's on Amazon, but let's send them to your website, right? You're on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, you're on Substack. So I'm linking to all that. And people can connect with you there. I get your book. What else? What else you want folks to do?
I want them to get the book and do the exercises. And then if you think there's value there on the website that is the companion to the book, we are beginning to put together short, condensed workshop groups. So if you're a solopreneur and you're just getting started and you want to learn some of the basics, we can condense the stuff that's in the book and condense what we do in consulting into about a 6-week period of time. So check that out. We've got one for each section of the book, depending on where your business is in its evolution.
Gotcha. All right. We're linking out to you. So deliveringvalue.com. And I think you delivered value today, Don. It was great catching up, man.
Same here. It was a pleasure, Wes. You take care and take care of those grandbabies.
I'm doing it. And like they say, I know you know the saying now, right? Les bon temps roulé.
Yeah. Le bon temps roulé.
Let the good times roll, baby.
And I also learned lanyap, which I didn't know
Oh,
before.
there you go. This book. I bet you got some lanyap in this book, huh? I'm
Well,
going to get the book.
there's plenty of lanyap in that.
All right. I'm going to make people look it up. I'll explain it in the post-production.
LAGNIAPPE.
Yeah. Have you seen those things? They'll do kind of like Man on the Street, but like if they're playing in New Orleans or I've seen it like LSU is playing in a bowl or something. They'll be in Tampa, so they'll show like Louisiana words like streets, or Chapatoulas, like Pontchartrain,
Yeah.
Nacogdoches, like what are these words, Natchitoches, and people butcher it.
Oh, certain, especially Tchoupitoulas.
Chapatoulas, you ain't getting that.
I remember when I first moved there, the Google Maps would call it Chouptoulas.
Yeah, you got to teach it. There's some because it's a hybrid, right? I mean, they got French. Yeah, it's Indian. It's French. It's Creole. It's like throw it all. It's like a gumbo, and then start coming up with words. Get an Indian word, but with a Creole accent. I mean, it's like what? Where am I? It's its own place, man.
It is a unique place. And I had the experience through a friend that I met in New Orleans to go to Bayou Pigeon and
Oh,
spend some time there, where the locals are talking that Pigeon English
yeah.
and can't understand. I mean, every now and again, I'll pick up on something that's French, but the rest of it is just
Yeah.
gobbledygook.
Yeah, my grandmother didn't speak English till she was 8 or 9, and I'll watch Swamp People on whatever, the History Channel or National Geographic, and they have closed captions on by default, and I'm like, they're speaking English, people. Why? Like, this is rude. Yeah, I guess we need it.
Oh yeah. If you're not from that area and your ear's not tuned to it, it could be mind blowing.
Yeah, it's like, what did they say? All right, Don Lazzari, deliveringvalue.com. Great catching up with you, man. Have a great day.
Same here. You take care, Wes. We'll see
Bye
you.
bye.